Today on Home Cooking with Holly, we're going to make chicken fried steak. Can't wait to eat this one. To start out, I have 2 eggs that I had slightly beaten, and I mixed them with 1/2 cup of milk and just kind of whisked it together. Next, I'm going to add in to 2 cups of flour, my seasonings. And I have them all in here. I have 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder, and about 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. We don't like spicy food, as you know, if you're following this channel, but you can add 1/2 teaspoon or even a little more if you do like more of a kick to it. And I'm gonna add those right to my flour. And then I'm just gonna kind of, not really whisk because I don't wanna make a mess, but just kind of combine those in together. It just adds a little something to the coating for this steak. And now I'm going to dredge my steaks. Now I'm using cube steaks. You can see that they're already tenderized. If you can't find these, sometimes my local grocer doesn't have them. You can also buy round steak and just kind of tenderize it with a meat mallet. That will also work. But these are pre-tenderized, so I do love to use these if they're available. First thing I'm gonna do is place it into my flour. And anytime I'm breading, I like a wet hand and a dry hand. So I'm gonna try to stick to that. So I'm gonna flip it over here. A little more flour on that side, shake off the excess, and it's gonna go into my egg and milk mixture. I just wanna get a nice even coating of that. Let the excess drip off a little, and back into my flour. This is gonna create our breading. Let's add a little extra on the top here. Press it down a little bit. It does help the breading to stick better. Okay, and shake off the excess, and I'm gonna just set this one aside, and I'm gonna do that with the other 2. So see, even though I'm doing a wet and dry hand, I'm still getting a little gooey, but at least it's not as bad as it could be. And I'm gonna make a little mess. That's okay, it wipes up. So I'm adding in my flour, pressing down a little, shake off the excess, into the egg and milk. Get that coated nicely. Let it drip. Back into the flour. And set it aside. And you want to do this to 3 or 4 steaks. I needed about 1 pound of steak. For me, that was 3 because they're larger, but if yours are a little bit smaller, you may need the 4th. And now you can use whatever kind of oil you would like for pan frying. You can use canola oil. I'm using vegetable oil. You can use olive oil, corn oil, your choice. And I just want to go about 1/4 of an inch above the bottom of that pan. And I'm gonna let that start to heat up. Now a good way to see if your oil is ready is to drop a little bit of flour in and see if it sizzles. Not quite yet, so I'm gonna wait just a little longer. While I'm waiting for that oil, I'm going to hit my steaks here with a little bit of seasoned salt. I like the flavor that it gives. You can also just use regular salt and pepper if you'd like. I'm gonna hit with this and then a little bit of pepper. Let's give it a check. Oh yeah, see how it sizzles? Now it's ready. So I'm going to take my tongs here and pick up one of my steaks and set that the side I just seasoned down away from me, because keep in mind it will come back on you from the oil. You don't want to get splashed. And I'm just going to let that cook until the edges start to get golden brown, and then I'll flip it over. As you can see, the edges are starting to brown. I'm going to lift it up carefully and flip it again away from me gently. That only took about 2 minutes. And I'm going to let this side cook a bit. All right, and it's almost good. I just gave it another flip after 2 more minutes just to help cook that steak through a little bit more. And I am preheating my oven to 200 degrees. The reason I'm doing this is because this gravy takes just a little bit of time to make. So I want to keep these steaks nice and warm. So I'm going to put them into the 200-degree oven while I'm making the gravy. Okay, I'm going to drain off a little of that excess oil and set this aside on a plate. And I'm going to put the other 2 in. Now I've got some hot oil in here, so this part might cook a little bit faster, but we're going to start with 2 minutes on the first side. Now I've rinsed out my pan and lined it with some foil that I sprayed with some cooking spray, and this is what I'm going to place into my oven when they're ready. Now if your steaks are a little on the thicker side, you might want to do 3 or 4 minutes per side, so make sure you keep an eye on it. They'll be cooked most of the way through when you put them in the oven, and they'll continue to cook very slowly in that oven. Okay, it's been about 2.5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and flip these over. If you find they're hard to grab, you can use your fork to help assist you. And watch out because it is going to sizzle and splatter. And now I'm going to let that other side cook for a few minutes. I'm going to drain off that excess oil and set it into my pan. This one's being a little touchy. We'll get the fork. It just helps give you a little more leverage because with all of this hot oil, you do not want to burn yourself. And into the pan it goes. I'm going to turn this one off. Set it aside. Let my burner cool a little and I can degrease it. All right, I'll space them out as much as possible. There we go. I'm going to pop them into the 200-degree oven to keep them warm and help them to finish cooking inside. Okay, now I've kept about 3 tablespoons of the oil and the pan drippings. I am not going to keep all of it because I'm just going to make a gravy and we don't want an oily, greasy gravy. So I've drained out most of that oil and I'm just going to let it heat up a little more here, and then I'm going to whisk in 3 tablespoons of flour. Here goes our flour. So equal parts fat, equal parts flour. We're going to make a roux. Roux are great with your gravy. And I'm just going to whisk that in. And we want to get it to about a chocolate milk color. And then we know we're ready to keep going. Okay. It's kind of a weak chocolate milk, but that's okay. That's kind of what we want. It's only been a couple minutes. We want it to be smooth. That's the most important thing. We don't want any lumps. Unless it's from the pan drippings, that's totally fine. That just adds more flavor. Now to this, I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. You can see that's already bubbling up. Whisk that in a bit. Now it's going to look like this is going to seize up on us, but don't worry, just stick with it. Keep going. And next I'm going to add 1 3/4 cups of milk. And there's the rest of our milk. And I'm going to whisk this in. Now if you get done and you decide your gravy is too thick, you can thin it out with a little bit more milk. If it's too thin, you're going to want to let it cook longer. But right now, we just want to keep cooking this at a good simmer until it reaches the consistency that we want. And then we're going to give it some seasoning. Make sure you don't abandon this. It's going to start to bubble a little. Make sure you watch your heat. A low boil is okay, but we don't want it to be a hard boil. And we're just going to keep simmering it away. It's already starting to thicken. It does not take very long at all. And there are some delicious bits in there from browning up that meat. Now I'm going to hit it with some salt. I'm going to be kind of generous, and some pepper. You like a lot of pepper in the gravy. And I've turned off my heat. It's bubbling quite a bit here, and it's looking nice and thick. So dinner's almost ready. See how thick that is? So now I'm going to pull my steaks out of the oven. All right, our gravy's done. Very thick now. Now remember, if you don't like it too thick, you can thin it out again with a little bit more milk, but this looks about perfect for us. Time to serve. I've cut open our steak so you can see the inside, nice and cooked through, and now I'm going to spoon on some gravy. And it's all done. I did hit it with a little more salt and pepper just to add some more flavor. Can't wait to dig in. Serve this with your favorite side dish. If you need some ideas, I'll link my side dish playlist below. What do you think? Easy to make. It's delicious, it's flavorful, and it will definitely fill your family up. I hope you'll give this chicken fried steak recipe a try. Please like and subscribe to follow me for more recipes and cooking tips.